Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. I just had two wild conversations with a couple of people while I was working on the car course. I got a phone call from, and I want to share this with you because this has to do with economic cycles. This has to do with my life. It also has to do with the state of the industry right now, and as far as the car industry and debt as a whole. I get a phone call from a subscriber that I know in town and says, "Hey, Ninja, did you see the Shelby Cobra for sale downtown?" I said, "No, I didn't." He goes, "You got to go check it out. It's super clean." I'm like, "All right." And he knows that I'm putting in offers right now. So I run down and I see a beautiful Shelby Cobra replica. Ironically, I had the wrong badging. It was badged for a 427. It did not have that. But my point being is, it's a beautiful car. And a gentleman came out, an older gentleman, and he starts talking to me and asking me questions about, what I'm looking for. I told him this is something I'm looking for. I'm putting in some offers right now. And he wanted to take the conversation further. I said, to be honest with you, things aren't that good, and I want to take advantage of the opportunity. I looked around the lot and I said, "How are things right now? How is inventory?" Because inventory is very thin at this dealership. And he said, "Things are tough. They're really tough." And I said, "Yeah, I would tell me about it. It's something I've been trying to warn people for a while about." He says, "You've got high interest rates, you've got high gas prices. It's harder to get a loan. It's everything's hitting the consumer." And I said, "It seems like 2008, doesn't it?" And he goes, "Yeah, it does." He introduces himself, and I go, "Oh my gosh, you're the owner of this dealership." And he said, "Yep." And I said, "You've been here for decades and decades. I mean, you've seen multiple cycles of vehicle sales and economic crashes and recessions." He said, "Oh yeah, I have." And the look on his face was, to be honest with you, very sad. He knows. You could tell when somebody knows. And I said, "Yeah, I've been warning people about all this craziness." And he didn't really want to listen to me or talk to me about that stuff. Of course, I get it. No, he doesn't know who I am or what I do for a living. And all of a sudden I hear "Ninja." I hear somebody yell "Ninja." And somebody that was working at the dealership washing cars is waving and comes over and he's all, "Hey, I just want to shake your hand." I said, "Hey, nice to meet you." He looked really familiar. He said, "Hey, I don't want to disturb you, but I love your work." And he walks away. And the owner of the company sort of like, "What in the heck?" I said, "Yeah, this is what I do. I warn people about cycles." I told him about some of the information I knew ahead of time. And I said, "I'm trying to help people." And I said, I'll come back if this car is available next week. But I'm already looking at one that Shelby they're asking 50,000 for. It's a replica." And I was asking him for any information on it. I said, "Yeah, I'm already working on one that's professionally built with a 427 for 30,000. So, I mean, right there, he knew he was more than likely not going to be able to get the sale from me. But I said, "But I will come back and take a look at it." Well, as I'm leaving, the gentleman that shook my hand runs up and goes, "Hey, Ninja, you got a second?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he says, "I recognized you. I knew you from 2003. He goes, "You're a firefighter, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." And I'm like, "You look familiar." He goes, "When my company, my parents' company or in-laws' company, a huge company, I've told this story before, but this comes full circle." He says, "I own a company called American Woodcraft or Custom Woodcraft." I'm blanking on the name. "And it went out of business." I'm like, "That's right." I'm like, "I bought up almost everything you guys had." And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "When I first saw you on the internet, I said, 'Oh my gosh, I wonder if that's the firefighter that bought up all the stuff from us.'" You see, this custom woodcraft company was massive. It was an international uh, custom corporate furniture company. They built. You guys remember what Miller's Outpost was? Type 1 if you know what Miller's Outpost, the company was. It was a company that was set up in brick and mortar self-standing stores, plus in malls all across the country. They built all of the cash wraps and all of the fixtures in that company, in those stores. He named off a bunch of these stores. This company was huge. Well, they had to close their doors in 2003. And the reason why was because everything contracted. All of the companies that were expanding through the dot-com boom to what we saw, where it crescendoed and stopped. Let all these kids roll by us. It's probably going to get a little loud. But you got to think about it. When all of these companies went from building, all these malls expanding in the 80s and 90s. This company got absolutely massive. And then after the dot-com bust, all of this money that was honestly fake disappeared. And overnight, companies were insolvent. This company was one of them. This is a company that had massive growth, massive success in the 90s, and then by 2003 found themselves closing their doors. And I remember because I was flipping homes back then, and it was funny because he even remembered the truck that I drove, because I remember him saying something, or somebody at that company saying, "Man, you drive a truck nicer than mine." And it was a nice truck, but it was a salvage title F350 4x4, and but I used it long bed truck. I used it for my home flips. Well, when this company was going out of business, it was selling off all of its lumber, all of its tools. And I was literally going to my home equity line and writing fat checks and finding places. I mean, we were buying truckload after truckload after truckload, finding places to stash this. As a matter of fact, I bought enough lumber from that one place alone. I built like 7 kitchens with that of cabinets from that one place. And I still have all the tools to this day. But it's interesting that he recognized me and he remembered about that cycle, and he started telling me about what's coming next, because he was very keen on what's going on, not only economically but spiritually as well. And he knew about how bad it was. And it's interesting, you know, the people that we meet every day, you never know where later on in your life, based off of a conversation or you know, I don't know, just a good word of reassurance, you never know how that's going to affect people and that they're going to remember you down the road. And I'd love to, because he asked, he goes, "Are you going to film the cars?" I'm like, I didn't want to. It's awkward when you're around a business owner and you're essentially telling them that your business is imploding, and they know. Now, for this gentleman that owns this one company, I'm going to tell you, I believe he's going to be just fine, because he's owned that business there for so long. I'm sure that he owns the land, or if he doesn't, he's in a really good position. But it's never a good time to hear that the economy's turning. Why? Because most people aren't ready for that. That's why I started those courses: the real estate course, the side hustle course, the car course. I'll put 80% off discount codes to those now below. But the point being is that people need to understand that you need an exit strategy. In the side hustle course, I actually do a lesson on trigger points and why during good times, as a business owner or a business manager, you want to set up these SOPs. And one of them literally says, open this and do what it says if your sales fall by 50% in 1 month. And then you also have another policy that says, do this if your sales fall 50% in 1 quarter. And the reason why you write those policies out, those guidelines out during good times, is because you start to think, okay, what kind of fat would I cut immediately? And I use the example of a construction company that I was really close with, one of my best friends. And I just actually had this conversation with him the other day. I said, "You're not keeping your guys busy, are you?" And he goes, no, we're busy. But the second we don't have work, they go home for the day. And I'm like, do not keep them busy. And because that's how he lost his company and lost everything in the first place, because you don't see the turning cycles, and they happen fast. Type 3, if you know what I'm talking about, you're a business owner and you know, boom, how fast a cycle turns, especially when you're not looking. Because usually most people, they don't see the cycle turn unless they turn on the news and it's blatantly in front of them in the news. But it's not that easy, and you've got to overcome those by writing policies and procedures when times are good. So then you could differentiate them from when times are bad. And I just wanted to share that with you because I'm about to go do another video in a little bit, but I want to share this conversation with you because it's very important. You never know who you're going to affect in your life. And here in 2003, I was buying up, and I felt bad for them back then, but I remember talking to this gentleman, and I remember him saying, "Oh, here's my wife. This is my in-laws that own the company, and we manage it." I said, "Well, what are you going to do going forward?" He goes, "Oh, I'm going to be fine." He goes, this is just one thing. It's the time for them to retire. It was the perfect time because they're getting older, and they're like, you know what? Things aren't good, and we got to wrap it up. And so he went out on his own journey right after that, and he is fine. You know, he actually told me, he's like, look, I'm doing this job here, and he's really you could see the joy in his eyes. Actually, not only the understanding of the present situation we're in with this economy, but he was happy. Well, first off, it's because he knows Jesus, quite frankly. But you got to see and it's interesting because I remember feeling bad and going, "Oh man, that sucks." But here I was taking advantage of them closing their doors. I was buying these materials and these tools for pennies on the dollar. And what is coming next? And I say this from experience. That was the first cycle I was a part of that I knew ahead of time and I was prepared for. I had money. The second cycle was in 2008 to 2010. I bought up more stock in businesses, all of their inventory. I remember going to a car stereo shop. I bought the entire lot. I said, "What do you want for everything?" He goes, $1,000. I bought up literally $10,000 worth of stuff and I made tons and tons of money off of it. And I want this not only for me, this cycle, I want it for you. And that's the thing. Are you going to be ready for this? Are you going to be prepared? And then are you going to have the understanding, knowledge, and skills and abilities because of knowledge to pull the trigger and then make money? We want good people to have the wealth of this nation. That's the most important thing I can say. I want you to be successful. I want you to be prosperous because I honestly believe the only people that are following this channel are good-hearted people. Yeah, sure, there's the once in a while 1% scab or moron out there that just wants to assert himself and hide behind an emoji. Come on. But the point being is that, or a fake name, but the point being is this. I want you to be the best that you could possibly be. And I believe that the only way to do that is to think ahead of schedule, to see the things that cannot be seen and understand things that cannot be understood unless you have the knowledge, skills, and ability to understand those things, and then act accordingly and prepare. Because the only thing separating you from somebody that's uber wealthy, and I'm going to tell you right now, I know there's a lot of very wealthy people watching this channel, very influential people as well. I do know a lot of them. I will say this, the only thing separating you from them is patience. It's just time. That's it. You're all going to have your time, and I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to be a part of it. I can't wait to fly around the country and the world highlighting your success, your testimony, because as you tell your testimony, then other people around the world are going to follow in suit, and they're going to be able to overcome their problems and their adversities as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all of your continued support. I will put those 80% off discount links below. If not, don't worry, just keep crushing it. That's all I want. The Economic Ninja is out.